Good morning, everybody. Well, the world that we live in is constantly changing. We can't possibly figure out how to deal with it. We have no idea how to fix anything that's wrong on this planet. If you've lived in a house that you have to maintain, well, you will have discovered that problems usually have multi-layers. You know, if you're going to fix the toilet that doesn't work, well, maybe it's not the toilet, it may be the water pressure, maybe the pipes. If you've got a light that's out in the kitchen, it may not be the light, it may be the light switch or the breaker. Things are layered. There's no way we can, without any experience, know how to fix these things. So we have phone numbers for the important repair guys, and we can have them come out. And if you want them out immediately, it costs more than if they can come out at their leisure or catch you at the end of the day. But that never works, because if they come at the end of the day, they come and find, okay, well, you need this. We've got our geese out there. I caught a little bit of them, which I'll stick at the end, but they were far away. This camera is designed to do what it does and not more. I can't zoom very well with this. There are cameras you can zoom better with, but this is not designed for that. This is designed to have a good picture within the range that it works. That's why when they're filming, they use different lenses so they get the right imagery. A good lens, I could be right there and we could be counting the feathers on those geese. But not with my camera. Oh well. I've got cameras that can do that, but that's not why we're here. That's just the background. That's the part of the story. They're swimming away too, because I'm talking about them. All right. Well, when it comes to this world with people, how do we deal with them? We don't. We call an expert. You don't know what the underlying problems are. People are never going to tell you the full story about why they're the way they are. The only way you're going to start getting some of that is to get them in your trust so that they will talk to you. If you're beating them over the head with the Bible, telling them that they're a sinner and they're going to hell, not everybody needs that. Some people need soft, fluffy gloves to be dealt with. Only God knows that. And the Spirit can work through us. Don't have your ways so ingrained that you're not flexible. Jesus didn't heal everybody the same. He spit in the mud, made mud, and put it on the man's eyes, and he could see. He didn't go to the lame guy and say, hang on a second, and spit in the mud and put mud all over his legs. No. God is flexible to what the needs are. He knows precisely how to fix everything. Now Satan, in his hatred for God and for us, is doing everything he can to try to dismantle God's world, to make it the opposite of what God wants, because that's how hatred works. Don't get caught up in that. It's not our battle. That's God's battle. That's the spiritual warfare that's going on. God has a few ideas on how to deal with life. Listen to him. And all of them, for the most part, you either let God handle it in its entirety, or you at least check in with him and ask him what you are to do. Don't let it get to you is the key. It's not our responsibility. Okay, so let's look at some Bible verses here on how we're to deal with this life. We're supposed to be as the church, we're supposed to be the bride of Christ. That's in Ephesians, was it 5:23, 5:22? We're the bride of Christ. Do you think he's going to make us suffer the way Satan would like to have us suffer? No. We're the bride of Christ. It's another reason why we're getting raptured. And the bride of Christ is not complete at the rapture. It's not complete until his second coming. That's why there's 3 raptures, and I'm not going into that on this video. Just know that he's going to take care of his people, his bride. Okay, let's turn to Psalms in the middle of your Bible. Towards the end, too, because we're at Psalm 143, with I think 150 is the last one. This is a appeal for guidance and deliverance. Kind of what we need now. I'm off center and it's bugging me. There we go. Okay. Hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my supplications. In your faithfulness answer me, and in your righteousness do not enter into judgment with your servant. For in your sight no one is living in righteousness. We're all sinners, no, not one. We know that. For the enemy has persecuted my soul. He has crushed my life to the ground. He has made me dwell in darkness like those who have long been dead. Therefore my spirit is overwhelmed within me. We've all had moments like that. Fortunately, for most of us, they're moments. And God can swoop in, the true superhero, and fix things. Therefore my spirit is overwhelmed within me. My heart within me is distressed. I remember the days of old. I meditate on all your works. I muse on the work of your hands. Turning the page. The wind is blowing a little bit, so I got to kind of keep the pages turned down. I spread out my hands to you. My soul longs soul longs for you like a thirsty land. Answer me speedily, O Lord. Answer me like Speedy Gonzales. Get right in there. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, lest I be like those who go down into the pit. Cause me to hear your loving kindness in the morning, which is morning now. Cause me to know the way in which I should walk. We all want that every day. For I lift up my soul to you. Deliver me, O Lord, from my enemies. We all have enemies someplace. If we're talking about God the way Jesus did, he had his enemies, we have ours. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Your spirit is good. Lead me in the land of uprightness. Revive me, O Lord, for your name's sake. For your righteousness' sake, bring my soul out of trouble. In your mercy, cut off my enemies and destroy all those who afflict my soul. For I am your servant. That's a prayer to God. We should be thinking that way all the time. Yes, things are going to be around us. Take care of them for me, because this is not my battle. This is a battle between you and Satan. and all of his people. And they're everywhere, and they're growing. Satan is attacking fundamental, foundational systems in our world. He's attacking marriage. More people now are not getting married than ever before. I think it's around 50% now. We're not even talking divorce yet. We're just talking simply not getting married. And they're getting married later in life. It's a foundational stone that shouldn't be messed with. And they're having marriage between same sexes. Again, undermining the foundations that were set. Okay, let's turn to Ephesians. Ephesians 5. So how do we deal with all this? Well, Ephesians 5:1. Therefore be imitators of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling aroma. If we're behaving right, we're like a sweet-smelling aroma to God. But fornication and uncleanliness or covetousness, let it not even be named among you, as is fitting for saints. We're priests and kings as children of God. Act like it. Neither filthiness nor foolish talking, nor court gesturing, which is not fitting, rather giving thanks. Now, they have court jesters back then to keep people entertained, but you do it at the right time. You don't get up in a funeral and start telling jokes. No, it's not appropriate. There are occasions where it might be if the deceased was a comedian and could have even asked for it. But in general, it's not. There are always exceptions to the rules, except God's rules. Going to verse 8. For you were once darkness, but now you are the light of the world, the light of the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit, we know these, is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of the darkness, but being the light of the world, expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of these things which are done by them in secret, but all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, awake who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. We will have the light to expose the world. That's one of the reasons that the world doesn't like us. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. This is verse 15. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. Therefore do not be unwise, but understand that the will of the Lord, what the will of the Lord is. And do not be drunk with wine, in which is dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another in psalms, which we just read, and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart, giving thanks always for all things to God the Father, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Submitting to one another in the fear of God. Life is difficult, but we can still have fun in this life, what's left of it. Are we the last generation? Possibly. But people are dying every minute for various reasons. It's no big deal, because if you're here on earth, you're with God. If you're dead, you're with God. And if he comes and gets us in the rapture, we're with God. So God's omnipresent. We're okay with that. We just don't like seeing a world that was stable at one time turn out to be a haven for Satan and his people. They're going to get what they want. God is going to let them have what they want. Control of this world. So have a foundation for which you can stand the waves that are going to come. And we'll be safe until he comes and gets us. Okay, now let's turn to 1 Corinthians 13. Another chapter that everybody should be familiar with. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. You say, what's wrong with those? Those are parts of a band. Yes, but would you go to a concert to hear a clanging cymbal only? No. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. We have to survive in this world. This is not our world anymore down here. God is turning it over to Satan because he's giving them what they want. He's not being forced to. He wants to do this out of love, hoping that people will realize that if you've got everything of this world, it will not be satisfying. Ask rich people. They've got the money to do anything they want, and yet they can't find what they're looking for. They can't find the connection to God. The only way to get that is to be willing to give up everything that they've got. Ask the rich man who talked to Jesus. So what do we do with this love? Well, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. You want a magic pill? Love. That's the only way to get through this. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. This whole world is going away eventually. But what it's going to be replaced with is a new world where love will be the profound engine driving everything. When I was a child, continuing on 11, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. It's hard to see God the way we are. We're looking at God through ourselves a lot of times, and He's far better than that. But then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I also am known. So now abide in faith, hope, love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Paul was definitely very inspiring, connected to God. Even in his fervent attempt to kill Christians, he was doing it for his love of God. He was misguided, and he was going to continue persecuting Christians. He had letters to arrest Christians and bring them back to Jerusalem, put them on trial. Jesus stopped him. Why are you persecuting me? Now, we don't know how some of these things happened. We don't know what he actually heard. But we do know he did a 180. He turned around completely and used that same fervent attitude towards getting the gospel out. He knew the Bible, so it was very easy to show him where he had been missing everything. Focus, we look at things, we can see certain things around us and we perceive certain things. But then when the truth is finally revealed, it's eye-opening. It's like, wow, I didn't realize that. Now it talks about behaving as children and talking as children, but frankly, we need to be more like little children, trusting in God, not the world, and being amazed at the things that God can do, because He can do amazing things. We get hardened up so much sometimes. We get toughened up on the outside because we think this is a physical battle, and we just don't want to budge. I'm not telling anybody to do it, but you could sit there and walk through a lion's den. It's been done, and come out unharmed. You could walk across the river, stepping on the back of crocodiles. Whatever is necessary in God's plan, you can do. People walked into bad parts of town. They were told, don't go there. They went there to evangelize. We're seeing all these people get old now, but I remember Pat Boone, not just as a singer, but as an actor. He was in A Sword and a Switchblade. The sword of God, the truth, and switchblades, because that's what everybody carried when you live in the bad parts of town. And yet he ventured into that. There's a couple of moments that looked very tense and troubling, but he got through them. It's a movie, but it's based on a real-life situation. I always like to have a movie reference. Well, God will be with us through thick and thin, as the expression says. But if you are displaying love, it will get you through, even when you're trying to talk to somebody who doesn't understand you. The patience that you display will get you through. They may never understand. God is so far above everybody else, so far above the world, that they may never understand. They have to be seeking God to have a chance to understand, not seeking the world. So be patient, be loving. All right, until we meet in the clouds, God bless. Have our birds in the morning as usual. Got some geese swimming out there. They're scattered around this morning and not together.